Hey, what's going on, guys? Tobin here with you. Thanks for checking us on out. And if you guys could subscribe to the channel, that'd be cool. If not, appreciate you guys passing by and dropping by and watching the video. Miami Dolphins, of course. Big week ahead as they have the New York Jets coming up this Sunday, 1 o'clock at Hard Rock Stadium. If you guys want to be doing a pregame action, game day uncensored, myself, Omar Kelly, Solana, we will be on the WQAM YouTube page and on Twitch, Miami 560 WQAM. You guys can chat with us. You guys can take us all the way up to kickoff. We'll be on from 9 a.m. until kick. Unfortunately, we will have to listen to Tony Romo. God, that's annoying. Why did we get cheated out of Kevin Harlan? I don't understand. How did we get stuck with Bill's boy on this game? Anyway, it is what it is. I have to deal with. Oh, Jim! I saw the. Who the hell did this? It was genius. I got tagged on this a bunch of times on Twitter and on Instagram about the Tony Romo Bills bingo game. Hilarious. Let me see if I got this. This is from Big E made this on Twitter, and he's just got all the Josh Allen. Ooh, Jim. You know, he's got all the catchphrases on there. So if you guys want to play along, check out Big E on Twitter. Very popular on Dolphins Twitter. He's got the Tony Romo bingo card there. I think it's his. That's the person I saw it tagged on. So very, very funny. But this is, it's going to be very annoying having to hear him this week. This has been a weird week. I mean, admittedly, this has been a weird week for, I think, the Dolphin fan. I think that this is the first time all year, really, that I do feel the fan base a little bit nervous. I do feel the angst of the fan base, and I don't really know what it is. And to be fair, I feel it from the coaches and the players, too. Especially from Tua and from Mike McDaniel. And I don't know if that's just the wear down of the work week. I don't know if that is wanting to get perfection. I don't know if that's just genuine nerves about what the hell happened on Monday night. I don't really have an answer for you. But it does feel to me the most doubt has creeped in for such a weird game. You know, a very poorly played game, to be fair. A game that every room, every position group can really look at themselves and be like, what could we have done better to get this here? How the hell did we blow that game on Monday night? And then you put on top of it that it was a shortened week, and it seemed like Mike McDaniel had spent his time like Rubik's cubing the schedule and trying to get things. I don't know, man. I just felt like he sounded like an exhausted, beaten man in the middle of the week. Do think it's bounced back and gotten a little bit better. And I don't think that's really, I don't know if this is going to bear anything on the result. It's just been something that's very noticeable for a team that's had a lot of swagger. I don't feel like I've heard it the same. The same thing went for Tua with some of the issues that are there. I felt like there was more of a regret on bad play this week from hearing from Tua than a defiance that he's going to get it better. And I do feel like this could be a positive thing. They can spin this forward and they can go kick the Jets' ass and go into the teeth of the end of this schedule, figure out where they're going to be set up for the playoffs, and everything will be gravy from there. Because if you get this win and you get to 10 wins, all right, you're probably going to be able to check off the playoffs. You're going. And you're going to make it very hard on the Bills to get there. But the point is just going out and taking care of your business. You know, that's the most important thing out of anything. Because if you don't, and you somehow let the demons creep in and you allow yourself to let a division rival who was already on the canvas for this season come in here and spoil something for you, God, that would be awful. And then on top of it, speaking of getting off the canvas, the Bills, who are basically on their stool, thinking to themselves, do I want to come out here for the final championship rounds? And all of a sudden, the division is now back on the table for them, should they go and get work done this weekend. It's a huge one, man. There's huge stakes at it, and I really do feel like one of the things that has been cool is this has been everybody has, I feel like, bought in on a different level. These last 2 years, I do feel like the buy-in from the fan base has been great. And I do feel like people really think that this team could do something special. I think people really love something about this Dolphins team because there's something about a South Florida team and a Miami team that not only has talent, swagger, is fun, but also has people doubting it, has some people who don't like it, has some people who kind of scoff at it, who prefer other people to be in there. It's almost like it's not quite a Miami Hurricanes feel because it is pro. There's I think a less ruggedness to what the Canes were, but people didn't like that. We know with the Miami Heat team that has been going and nearly getting to the title, but not quite over these last 4 years. There has been a big buck against that trend of, we don't believe in this team. They can't do it. At 3% chance they're going to win a series against the Boston Celtics, all this crap that you hear. So there are elements that this Dolphins team carries with that. And I do think that they've rewarded the faith of the fan base so far this season. They completely pooped the bed on Monday. And so some people see that first pooping of bed and they think there's no coming back from this. This is going to be the snowball effect. And I don't want to believe that to be the case. I want to believe that this is going to be the year that they cinch things up, and especially they get their first playoff win in 23 years. But I almost feel like that's the bottom, winning your first playoff game in 23 years. Like, I'll be cool with that. Don't get me wrong. Like, we'll look back and we can look at that as a nice accomplishment. But for where we started, especially where I started at expectations, where they have been with the payoff on this team and what they have invested in this team, there's no way you can look at this conference and all the flaws that are around everybody and say, hey, we're going to be okay if we let this opportunity slip by. Bull crap. You got to be in a spot where it's like, we forget about it yesterday. We forget about this past week. We wipe it away. You go kick the Jets' ass. You set yourself up, and you be in a big-time position. Now, look, it doesn't mean the Dolphins aren't going into this with some real obstacles, and one of them being who the hell is going to be playing because there are a lot of injuries. Now, you're going to be going up against a team that doesn't want to hear it. I mean, they had Tim Boyle starting at quarterback. So yes, you may have a banged-up Tyreek. You may have 3/5, 4/5 of your offensive line out, but no one's going to want to hear it. Especially if you have QB1 out there. There's going to be a lot of pressure on Tua this week. There is. I think that there's first of all, the book out on him on pressure and getting the pressure on him and trying to make him be out there to get off that first read and get off the decisiveness and not let him get the ball out quick. Those numbers are out there. They were reported this week about the difference in that. I think anybody with eyeballs could probably see a Dolphins game and realize, Tua likes to go with his plan and stick to it. He can shake guys every now and then, and he can deceive guys with his eyes. But like, this guy is a man who likes to get the ball, make a decision, and go, and hurt teams like that. And if you can pressure him, and if you could disrupt that a little bit, the improvisation is not as clean. It's not as good. So that's going to be brought to him this week. The case of what teams can do are going to try and do this to him every single week, and especially if they don't have Tyreek Hill. I will say, if they don't have Tyreek Hill, for me, this is a huge game for Jalen Waddle. I think Jalen has had a nice season. I don't think it's been an excellent season. I don't think it's been up to a lot of Dolphin fan standards. I don't think it's been up to his standards. If you were to be honest with him, if you were to ask him, hey, has this season met your expectations as to, what this year should be? I mean, probably not. I don't think that. I don't think this has probably been where it is, and he's probably on track for another 1,000 years. But this guy's a 1,300-yard receiver last year. This guy was looked upon as, remember though, there was a whole thing this year with Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee said, that when the Dolphins called up about Jonathan Taylor, they asked for Jalen Waddle, and that didn't go anywhere. And every Dolphin fan got furious with this because Jalen Waddle, like this guy, we all think he's a star in the making. But you can't really say this has been a star performance year from him. I think it's been fine. I think there's been moments, and I know that he's on the field with a record breaking or a record pacing wide receiver. But in fairness, he was last year too. Tyreek Hill, if Tua doesn't get hurt, maybe he has a chance to go get that record last year. He was on an insane pace. Hell, it was the Dolphins franchise record that he did go get. So it's not like Jalen Waddle has not been familiar with this. And if Tyreek Hill can't go, I do think it's a big game for Jalen Waddle. To be on the same page with Tua, these guys know each other for a long time. Tua said this in other times where when Tyreek there was other games where he was threatened that he wasn't going to be out because of injury. And Tua's like, well, I think people are forgetting what Jalen Waddle can do. And I think this is a good week to go remind him. There haven't been enough of those breakout games from him. There's been fine games. There's very few games you can say with Jalen Waddle he's done nothing. But to me, if there's no Tyreek, that's a big place I'm looking at. Aside from Tua, the most pressure goes on Tua and what he's got going into this week. But as far as the line's concerned, a lot of question marks. Rob Hunt's out, Deshaun Elliott's out. Then basically everybody else is questionable. Holland, Armstead, Eichenberg. So Eichenberg saying today, that he is got some mobility. But this was this was a thing that he was dealing with. He did not look good last game. Last game. There has been and it's a bit of a conundrum for the Dolphins because Eichenberg already at full strength is a little bit of a question mark. You don't quite know. There's been questions about his confidence before. So if you have a banged up Liam Eichenberg out there, there's also some worry on that as well. Armstead, getting him back would obviously be huge. Getting Javon Holland would be a monster pickup for this team. He's dealing with the knee injuries. So, yeah, there's a lot of question marks going into this game. But I do think that this is one of those where you have to quote the great Eric Spoelstra and just be like, we have enough. For the Jets, you got to look at this in the mirror and be like, we have enough. We have to find a way. Because I will say, if the Dolphins don't beat the Jets, line being out, even Cheetah being out, you got Tua. He's going to go out there. And, you got most of your defense out there. Yes, I understand you don't have the safeties will be banging, no Elliott, or even if it's no Elliott and no Holland again. No one's going to want to hear it. No one's going to want to hear it if you don't go and get this one against the Jets. It just doesn't. It's not something that the fan base is going to accept. And honestly, they'll be sent into. I think that the fan base will be sent into a bit of a confidence tailspin if the Dolphins lose this game. And based on how they handled this week, at least outwardly, publicly, the faces of the franchise, specifically the coach and the quarterback, I'm wondering how they would handle another loss. Because as much as it's been an emphasis for this team, getting to this part of the season, December games that matter, elimination games. And if you start creaking back to some of the stuff from last year again, how's that not a faith shaker? So this is a really critical game this week. And I do think it's the Jets, obviously their quarterback's got to be riding high. He's got to be feeling himself a little bit, being the AFC player of the week. You got to go remind this guy he's a bum because he's mostly been a bum. And I think it's imperative on the Dolphins to go out there and go and make Zach Wilson feel that pressure, to make him realize, oh yeah, I'm Zach Wilson. And then on Tua's side of things, yeah, he's got to finish off these damn drives. This cannot be a thing where he is out there and he's not executing in the red zone. And I also think that when they get to the red zone, like, the first options for this team probably should be in the run game. And they should go to Raheem Mostert. And they should try and get Raheem Mostert to the 20 touchdown mark. So a lot of things to clean up. Definitely not impossible to do. And if you do win, you're going to be sitting pretty. You're going to be in a great place once again. And you can erase the stench that was this Monday night disaster.